Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Ashadadadishadai Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jayanilo Premadhana Karuna Prachur Heno Prabhu Kota Gila Acharya Thakur Heno Prabhu Kota Gila Acharya Thakur Jayanilo Premadhana Karuna Prachur Heno Prabhu Kota Gila Acharya Thakur Gahamura Swarup Rupa Kaha Sanata Kaha Dasa Raghu Nata Patita Pava Kaha Dasa Raghu Nata patita pavan kahala saranu Haribol 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 कहाँ मोरा भता जुगा कहाँ कबीरा कहाँ मोरा भता जुगा कहाँ कबीरा कले खोता गेला गोरा न तारा कले खोता घेला गोरा न तारा भाषाने कुतिभो माता अनाले पशिवो भाषाने कुतिभो माता अनाले पशिवो गौरंगा गुणरा निधि खोता गेले पावो गौरांग गुणरा निधि खोता गेले पावो Sesava sangira sange je koi lovila Sesava sangira sange je koi vila se sangana paya kande narotamoda se sangana paya kande narotamoda Anilo premadhana Karuna prachur Anilo premadhana Karuna prachur He no Prabhu kota gela acharya thakur He no Prabhu kota gela Gopal Krishna Goswami Thakur Gopal Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Oh hey Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Jai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki. Who brought the treasure of divine love and who is filled with compassion and mercy, where is such a personality as Advaita Acharya gone? Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishna Das Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all his qualities? Being unable to attain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all these devotees in whose association he performed his pastime, Narottam Das simply weeps.
Thank you for all of you to come. We would like to thank
Hare Krishna.
We would like to thank Sawas Prabhu to facilitate this, and we are very grateful to him. So the next we are going to put the wheel that His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj left, and I'm going to read it, but we are also going to display it on the screen. I'm just waiting for that to come up, and if we can enlarge it, Prabhus. So this was the final will left by His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, which is as per GBC rules that they have to leave a comprehensive will. Can you all see? Okay. So, will. I, Gopal Krishna Goswami, aka Gopal Krishna Khanna, son of late Mr. Anand Swarup Khanna, born on 15th August 1944 and a resident of ISKCON Delhi, Hare Krishna Hill, Sant Nagar, east of Kailash, New Delhi, do hereby revoke all my previous wills or codicils and declare that this is my last will, which I hereby make on the 23rd of November 2023 at ISKCON Delhi, Hare Krishna Hill, Sant Nagar, east of Kailash, New Delhi. I am a sannyasi and have no dependents. I declare that I am in good health and possess a sound mind. This will is made by me without any persuasion or coercion and out of my own independent decision alone. I appoint Vaishnava Maharaj for India, Janardhan Maharaj for India, Rishi Kumar Das for India, Ambarish Maharaj for Russia, Umapati for East Africa. So these are all the executors of the will. To be the executors of this will. In the event any of those were to predecease me, then whoever is the survivor among the above will be the executors of this will. I am a trustee of ISKCON India and BBT and a governing body commissioner. I am not a trustee of any other trust except ISKCON Seva Trust, a bureau controlled trust, an inactive trust based in Delhi set up by the ISKCON Bureau. And then you'll see it is signed, each page is signed by Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami. And then I think by Indian law you should also have fingerprints. So the next page will show the fingerprints and also the witnesses. I have always been loyal to the governing body commission of ISKCON and the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, as reflected in his books. I would like all my disciples to follow the GBC body. I have never taken one step out of ISKCON, and I desire that they render their services in ISKCON and not run here and there looking for some easy way out. The Guru manifests himself in two ways, through Vapu and through Vani. Vapu, you may have heard many times, is temporary. Vani is permanent. So all my instructions are drawn and therefore reflected from Srila Prabhupada's books. Srila Prabhupada has said, your love for me will be shown by how much you cooperate among yourselves. And my desire from all my disciples is the same, to cooperate among themselves and with ISKCON authority forever. If I were to pass away outside India, I will be grateful if my body could be brought to Vrindavan or Mayapur and kept in Samadhi there. If I were to pass away in North India, I would like my Samadhi to be in Vrindavan. And Maharaj passed away in Dehradun, which is North India. If I were to pass away nearer to Mayapur, I would like my Samadhi to be in Mayapur. There is a plot of land in Vrindavan where my disciples wanted to construct a house for me. I did not encourage that. It's my desire that this particular land should be donated to ISKCON Vrindavan for any purpose they may deem fit. I see a different picture of mine in almost every temple where my disciples serve. They can choose any picture they like. This practice can go on after my departure also. So this piece of land that Maharaj is speaking about in Vrindavan officially was given to the Vrindavan temple. I don't really have any assets, cash, bank deposit, lockbox, vehicles, stocks, or any other property in my name. All the properties in the zones managed by me in ISKCON are registered legally in ISKCON's name, and there is nothing in my name except a Rolex watch gifted by Srila Prabhupada in 1977, my laptop, and 2 mobiles. I desire that this watch be handed over to one of my disciples who helped me serve in Srila Prabhupada. So in Delhi, His Holiness Lokanath Maharaj handed that watch to His Grace Ved Vyas Prabhu, who helped Maharaj build a lot of temples. So the watch was gifted to him in Delhi. I desire that this watch be handed over to one of my disciples who helped me serve Srila Prabhupada. The laptop and mobiles with all the logins and passwords will be in the custody of whoever will be the secretary at the time of my leaving my body. My clothes and sweaters can be distributed to disciples and other devotees by the team of my assistants. I have not authored any books except some lecture transcripts brought out by different disciples in different places. There is no copyright owned by me on this. And then the next page is again signatures and witness signatures. My only true assets are my personal deities, and I do not want these to be worshipped by any one individual. I have therefore desired that my Salagram Silas and the deities be kept in the altar and worshipped at Shri Shri Radha Parsarthi Temple, ISKCON Delhi, Shri Shri Radha Radhika Raman Temple, ISKCON Punjabi Bagh, and could be divided among other temples in my zones. I desire so as if the deities are part of the temple altar, then they will be safe, and in case they are worshipped by individuals, they could be abandoned. I do keep some little Lakshmi, as we describe money, to be used in Krishna's service for various projects, and this could be divided among the different projects which will be ongoing at the time of my passing away. I have one joint bank account along with my disciple Jagannath Priya Das in US, and this has a balance of about $3,000 for the past 4 years, merely to ensure that I have transactions in an American account to secure my green card. I have no personal loans, nor do I owe any debts to anyone. I hereby appoint 5 doctor disciples who are personally serving me now as attorneys to determine concurrently my medical treatment and personal care in case of my not being in a position to decide. The names of these doctors are Dr. Dwarkadish Das, Dr. Krishna Priya Das, Dr. Advaita Acharya Das in Washington, Dr. Radha Vallabh Das, and Dr. Ajay Chaitanya Das. If I were to pass away, I will be really pleased and grateful if all the disciples take shelter of one of the senior devotees in this movement, without being independent, and follow the management system set up and provided by Srila Prabhupada. I direct that all my disciples shall behave and conduct themselves in the following manner upon my demise. So the next page is a deed related details, and then I'm gonna go to, it's the next page after this. That's the one. Always accept His divine grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedant Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, as the preeminent Siksha Guru for all time. Always accept ISKCON's governing body commission, GBC, as the ultimate management authority of ISKCON, and as Srila Prabhupada's representative, and to therefore follow its instructions and directions. Number 3, lead your life so as to be an exemplary representative of ISKCON and Srila Prabhupada. Number 4, cooperate together with all other ISKCON devotees to push this movement forward. 5, when some of you advance sufficiently to become gurus and sannyasis, to work under the GPC authorized processes to take up those services. Number 6, never leave ISKCON. First and foremost, think of yourselves as members of ISKCON. Never fight with ISKCON. Resolve your differences internally in a Vaishnava way. Number 7, never align yourselves with persons or groups not authorized by the GBC. Number 8, seriously study Srila Prabhupada's books on a regular basis. Always chant at least 16 attentive rounds every day. Chant at least 25 rounds on Ekadashis and special festival days, and strictly follow the 4 regulative principles of no meat eating, no intoxicants, no gambling, and no illicit sex. Number 9, work to make ISKCON a dynamic society. Number 10, continue donating your time and resources to ISKCON's causes. And then there is still one more. There is a few government documents. After this, yes. So that was Maharaj's personal secretary, he was a witness. That's one. I wish to state that all my endeavors as a devotee have been to serve Srila Prabhupada and the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, and I have nothing of my own except my deities. Therefore, I further direct that any assets, including temples, foundations, and or projects associated with, inspired, or directed by me or my disciples, must for all time remain under the auspices and directions of the GBC, who are the ultimate managing authority of ISKCON. Thank you for your service and love for Srila Prabhupada. Serving you has been my privilege. I thank Srila Prabhupada, my spiritual master, the founder Acharya, and the preeminent Siksha Guru of ISKCON, and a pure devotee of Lord Krishna from the spiritual world, for providing me shelter in this house he built for the whole world to live in, and desire that all my disciples stay in that house, imbibe the highest philosophy of Krishna consciousness, and still higher than that, practice the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So I will request Savas Prabhu to begin the proceedings, if he can come and speak something, since he was a BBT trustee and Maharaj was a BBT trustee, so they have a lot in common. Savas Prabhu, please come.
Now we're on. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for coming today, for this really amazing personality, Gopal Krishna Maharaj. I have known Gopal Krishna Maharaj for many, many years. I think I've been a trustee since 1991. So from that point up to this point, I've had a lot of interaction with him in all kinds of capacities and so many forms. But the main relationship I had with him was his desire for distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, which he was very keen on doing. He was made the trustee, BBT trustee by Srila Prabhupada. And when he did that, we heard a little bit about that this morning, India BBT was practically non-functional. They didn't even really have any books printed, actually. And so it's incredible what he was able to accomplish and what he was able to do. Practically speaking, on his own, he started the BBT. It was under the auspices of Srila Prabhupada's instruction to him. And it's just incredible what happened from that point to this point today. From not having hardly any books, just maybe a couple of books here or there. And America used to do as much as they could to help India print and publish books. And it worked out pretty good. But Maharaj was so powerful in his determination to please Srila Prabhupada, he began to expand the BBT in India like anything. And in those days, it was very tough. India was very poor in terms of Lakshmi, the ISKCON movement. It wasn't very functioning real well. And you know that in the early days, America did give Lakshmi to build the Krishna Balaram Mandir and then the Mumbai temple. So that came through the BBT funds that Srila Prabhupada requested them to do that with. So that was there. But what was really incredible was that Gopal Krishna Maharaj, just by his intense enthusiasm and desire to please Srila Prabhupada, he created a BBT, which is the biggest BBT in ISKCON today. The India BBT grosses about $5 million in book sales in India alone. Oh yes, incredible. In the ISKCON world, that's tremendous. It's tremendous. They're the leading book distribution country in the world. And every year, we have these like Bhadra Purnima campaign and the Chaitanya Charitamrita campaign. And India by far surpasses any other country in the world in the distribution of these literatures. And this is all because of his intense desire to please Srila Prabhupada and to follow Srila Prabhupada's order. And I think that tells a lot about the character of that individual, that on the order of the Guru, they take up a particular service and they stay with that service. They don't shy away from it. But not only stay with that service, but expand it, and expand it to the point where it's just incredibly successful. That tells you the character of that particular individual and his determination and sincere desire to please the spiritual master. And that is the essence in Krishna consciousness. You know, all of us have gurus. We want to please our guru. And that desire to please the guru is exhibited by one's devotion and one's sincere desire to please the spiritual master. And I would have to say that Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he was one of the more, I would say, intense devotees in pleasing Srila Prabhupada that I ever had the association with. There's many great souls in ISKCON, many. And he's one of the great ones. So there's so many. that have done so much, that dedicated their lives to Srila Prabhupada's movement and to push it on. But today, we're going to celebrate and remember His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. And of course, when a big person like this leaves the society, it leaves a gaping hole. There's what to do, how to move on. I remember being in Denver, Colorado, and when we were told one day, early in the morning, during the morning program, that Srila Prabhupada left this world and that we were now so much on our own. And I remember the mood, and everybody in the whole temple was crying like anything. And we were thinking, where do we go from here? What do we do? What can we possibly do? How can we go on without Srila Prabhupada? We felt like it was the end of the world. And at that particular time, you know, you were thinking of all kinds of things that you were going to do. Where are you going to go? What am I going to do? I can't live without Srila Prabhupada, and crying and feeling heartbroken. And that intense emotion was the most intense emotion I had up to that point in my life. I never had such a intense emotional outbreak. And I've never in my life been that attached to anyone, even my mother and father. I have to be honest. I had a you know, an attachment to them and wanted to, you know, please them. But Srila Prabhupada was my everything. I didn't even know what else to do with my life. So that's the feeling when the Guru passes. You have that feeling. But as Gopal Krishna Maharaj put in his particular will, that he wants his disciples to stay within ISKCON and work with ISKCON. And that is the most important instruction for all of us, for all of you here, those that are disciples, but just for all of us in general. That is the most important instruction, to stay with ISKCON. Don't go away from ISKCON, stay there. Because even when Prabhupada left, I was thinking about, am I going to stay in ISKCON? Am I going to leave ISKCON? All those things go through your mind. And it's very emotional. But we stuck it out in ISKCON. Haribol! ISKCON is great. ISKCON is great. It'll protect you. ISKCON will protect you. Because of great devotees like Gopal Krishna Maharaj and some other seniors, and those of you that'll push on the ISKCON movement. It is great. It's your family. It's your life. You should, and if it's not, you should make it your life. Because it's the biggest protection you can have in this world is that association under the flag of ISKCON. And we see that if we surrender and we cooperate, so many wonderful things can happen. Just like Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he stuck with ISKCON, he cooperated with ISKCON, and look at the greatness that he was able to accomplish in ISKCON. Up to this point, it was just phenomenal. So, in association with Gopal Krishna Maharaj, we had a lot of wonderful pastimes. I recall Gopal Krishna Maharaj being an individual who was just unshaken, literally. He was just like he was solid, like a mountain. He was solid. No matter what the situation was, he would never be shaken. And there was a lot of times in course of having meetings and you have disagreements and things can get pretty fiery. You have a lot of big guns in one room and everybody's, you know, everybody's really powerful and, you know, maybe they don't like something and there's things said, challenges made. And Gopal Krishna Maharaj was the most unique individual. He was never shaken. And he'd always be very cooperative. And then I recall that he would do that, but then he'd go away and he'd still do whatever he was going to do. In other words, he wasn't shaken by it at all whatsoever. he was focused, he was fixed on Srila Prabhupada's instructions. And he never said a bad word about anybody. I was in many, many meetings with him, many meetings. And never did I see him really say a bad word about a person. Very tolerant. He was a gentleman in all respects. He was a gentleman. And a beautiful person to be in association with. And extremely intelligent. Extremely sharp. Sharp and intelligent. Sharp and intelligent for pushing on the Krishna conscious movement. Very, very fixated. I remember he would come to Los Angeles when he was a little younger. He used to come to LA, and we would have our weekend programs. And so he would come to our program. He was just the most amazing character. He'd fly into New Dwarka and say, okay, what are we going to do? And we were all thinking, well, let's take a little break. But he just got off the airplane, so let's just relax a little bit. We said, okay, but what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? What's the schedule? He was always on the move. He didn't like to waste time. Anybody that's associated with Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he likes to get to the point and move on. He never wasted time or just, was frivolous. It just wasn't in his character. And all the years that I associated with him, he wasn't a frivolous person. But he was also very congenial and heartfelt. Every time I'd meet him, say, how are you? How's your health? How are the devotees? Everything going good? Is your book distribution doing good? He would even ask me, how's your wife? He was so congenial and so accommodating and such a wonderful character of a person. And it showed just by the mere fact of how he was able to move in this world to push on Krishna consciousness, how he progressed and how he moved so nicely, gently, congenially, happy, strong, straightforward. All these characteristics were in him, without a doubt. I experienced those things, so I'm saying to you what I experienced in my association with him. I'm sure other devotees will have other things that they experienced, which is good. It goes to show you that he was capable on all matters. And he built a giant empire, an ISKCON empire in India today. I believe that he helped create at least, 14 temples in Delhi alone? Is that what the number is? Say that again? Is it 18, 22, or 14? Which one is it? Okay, we'll settle on 22. So, he made 22 temples. Can you believe it? In Delhi area alone? Phenomenal. And these temples were gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. First class. Gorgeous. Beautiful deity worship. Unbelievable. We have this one temple here and barely, I can barely handle it, just this temple. I can't even imagine having 14 other centers or whatever, 21 other centers. It's phenomenal. And they're huge. And practically speaking, the minute that they build them, there's 10,000 or 15,000 people coming to the temple. Immediately, practically. So I could go on, but there's other devotees that are going to be speaking. But I did want to read this letter that was written by the BBT directors and trustees. So I'll read that to all of you. I should have made the lettering much bigger. Anyway, to all esteemed devotees worldwide, it is with heavy hearts that the global members of the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, BBT, express their profound sorrow at the passing of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj was appointed by Srila Prabhupada to serve as a BBT trustee in India. In this capacity, Maharaj dedicated himself tirelessly to the expansion of the publication and distribution of Srila Prabhupada's books. Haribo! Yes, what a great feat. In his prolific development of new devotional communities and temples, as well as during his travels as a spiritual master and GBC member, Maharaj steadfastly emphasized the importance of book distribution, organizing and inspiring devotees to distribute ever-increasing numbers of Srila Prabhupada's books wherever he went. For over 5 decades, Gopal Krishna Maharaj remained a stalwart champion of Srila Prabhupada's directive to distribute his books. As Srila Sutta Goswami glorified Bhishma Dev upon his passing from this mortal realm, we invoke a similar tribute to His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami. Thereupon, that man who spoke on different subjects with thousands of meanings and who fought on thousands of battlefields and protected thousands of men stopped speaking and being completely freed from all bondage, withdrew his mind from everything else and fixed his wide-opened eyes upon the original personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who stood before him, four-handed, dressed in yellow garments that glittered and shined. This came from the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.9.30. Srila Prabhupada established the BBT with the vision of ensuring that his books would be distributed in growing numbers, in perpetuity all over the world. Gopal Krishna Maharaj epitomized this vision and became one of the most successful devotees in ISKCON history in fulfilling this sacred mission. What's more, Maharaj, in a mood of selfless service and cooperation, helped various BBT divisions around the world to find common ground so that they could work together harmoniously. We mourn his passing deeply and offer our prayers that we and generations of devotees to come may walk in his footsteps. The global members of the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. Haribol. Yes. Okay, I have a lot more that I wanted to say, but I'll stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. So, in consultation with Savas Prabhu, what we decided is we will take turns. We will be having a live person or devotee, Srila Prabhupada, disciple speak, and then we'll have also offerings sent to us by senior devotees, including what I'm going to read right now is from His Holiness Badrinayan Maharaj, who is our GBC and also initiating Guru. And this way we're going to take turns. We're going to have one offering spoken. We'll have some video presentations also of some offerings, and we'll also have live presentations. So this offering is from His Holiness Badrinayan Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Hearing of Gopal Krishna Maharaj's passing is heartbreaking news. He was one of the great Maharathis fighting on the field for Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya. Srila Prabhupada gives the example that a jewel reveals its quality as its different facets catch the light. Let me meditate for a moment on Gopal Krishna Maharaj's sublime character and qualities. He was stellar in the key measures of distributing books, opening temples, and making devotees. At the same time, he was humble, kind, patient, and gentle. I had the good fortune to hear him speaking at home programs and book distribution rallies. He could roar like a lion when his words could also penetrate into the heart, inspiring the audience to change their habits, surrender, and come to higher levels of devotional service. You knew that whatever he was saying, he was personally living 108%. Although he was a powerful leader in a worldwide institution, ISKCON, it never affected his personal demeanor. He was happiest lovingly worshiping his deities or giving good counsel to those in need of encouragement. At the same time, he was an expert strategist and a personal friend of top government officials, industrialists, and movers and shakers in India. He was called to serve as a GBC in India when ISKCON was just taking root there. It was no easy assignment. Devotees had to be imported from the West. Temple presidents will send space cases, troublemakers, and not only those they could afford to spare. Due to inexperience, we were cheated at every turn. As if this was not enough, Gopal Krishna Maharaj was dressed in white at that time and had to deal with heavy sannyasis, arguing with him at every step. This is very interesting. Tamal Krishna Maharaj told me that when Srila Prabhupada asked him to serve as a GBC in India, and he was trying to avoid it, Srila Prabhupada told him, "My leaders say, I will serve you in heaven. I will serve you in hell, but not in India." Yet Gopal Krishna Maharaj, out of deep love for Srila Prabhupada, took on the assignment and refused to give up. He dutifully surrendered and served faithfully through thick and thin. The result is that ISKCON India has now become one of the most successful yatras in the world. The plain fact is that his departure leaves a huge vacuum. ISKCON has lost a great hero. The very fiber of Gopal Krishna Maharaj's life was to do his duty. Therefore, the best way to honor Gopal Krishna Maharaj is to remember his selfless and sterling example, both in his management skills and in his loving care for the devotees, and to carry on the Sankirtan mission as he will wish us to do. Your servant, His Holiness Badrinayan Maharaj. Thank you. So before I call the next speaker, I asked Sovas Prabhu for his blessings, because I'm going to present some anecdotes, because Sovas Prabhu did mention that in his earlier days Maharaj used to come, and as he comes he wanted to be engaged in service. So in recent years, when I came to do service in this temple, obviously my Guru Maharaj and Badrinayan Maharaj gave me the blessings to come and do this service. Amongst the first services I was given by Sovas Prabhu was the earthquake retrofit. And I remember Sovas Prabhu removing that folder from behind. If you have been to Sovas Prabhu's office, you know he is very well organized. He has shelves, and each shelf has a label. And I did not know what I was getting into. So here I walk in, and Sovas Prabhu says, "This city is after us. We are 2 years down the line," correct Prabhu? 2 years down the line, and we need to do this earthquake retrofit. We need to safeguard the deities, we need to safeguard the community, we need to safeguard the devotees. And so he asked me to do this. Sovas Prabhu, am I right? I want to make sure. So when it came to me, obviously being in the business world and doing real estate, I knew this part. But the part of asking for money was not something I was used to. You know, now you go and tell someone, you also need the money, the Lakshmi to do it, becomes very interesting. So when Sovas Prabhu gave me this, I did not sleep for a few days. I was actually thinking, how are we going to do? How are we going to do this? Because we had to first get the whole logistics done, and then obviously look for the Lakshmi. And then it dawned on me to call His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. So I spoke to my Guru Maharaj. And when I spoke to Guru Maharaj and I told him that this was what we were going to face, the first thing Guru Maharaj told me, he will come personally to speak and help in the fundraising. And Sovas Prabhu was there, Archita Prabhu, Nirantara Prabhu, we had a lot of his god brothers also saw. And what Maharaj told me is that he will not forget that ISKCON Los Angeles, through the BBT, was the pioneer in helping send in funds to build the temples in India. And he did not forget that. And today, when ISKCON Los Angeles needed something, he was ready to come. He even told me that Srila Prabhupada stayed more in Los Angeles than anywhere else apart from India in the world. So this was a very dear place to Srila Prabhupada. And I remember when Maharaj came, I was organizing programs. I was trying to get all our prominent donors to meet him so he could encourage them, and then we could follow up, and cultivate them and bring them into the project. Maharaj was instead asking me, have you got everyone? Has everyone come? Is there someone missing? And I'll tell him, yeah, Maharaj so-and-so could not come. Get hold of him. Try him 2 times, 3 times. And some of the people will call me very late and Maharaj will speak to them. Maharaj will speak to them and he'll encourage them to participate and help do what was necessary at this temple. So I just wanted to give that anecdote that this retrofit had a lot to do with His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj helping in cultivating to raise the funds. So the next speaker is Archita Prabhu because he has some BBT duties. Archita Prabhu.
Mahom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschatadeshtarane Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj Ki Jai. I first met Gopal Krishna Maharaj in 1973 in New York, the famous Henry Street Temple. He was a householder at that point. We didn't have a lot of interaction because almost immediately I was sucked into the ISKCON Press, which later became BBT, book production. So that was my service, main service pretty soon. And Maharaj had other duties to do. But over the years, we did have quite a bit of interaction in different temple scenarios. And from the very beginning, as was said, I noted immediately that this person is a real gentleman. Seriously, not just putting on a facade, not just trying to, butter you up and please you for some reason, but behind your back doing something else. No, he was genuinely a gentle man. Gentle, emphasis on gentle. Prabhupada said the same about Mukunda Maharaj, that he's naturally a gentle person. So you gentleman, always straightforward, no duplicity. Prabhupada also said that a devotee means simplicity, no duplicity. So Gopal Krishna Maharaj was like that, very, very straightforward. As I said this morning, before we put on the video of his memories of Prabhupada, that all of his interactions with Srila Prabhupada resulted in some very cogent instructions. And you saw that. Everything that he mentioned was... So the 2 of them that come to mind was a statement after talking about that disciple of his who joined 35 years later after seeing the Hare Rama, Hare Krishna movie, which Maharaj was afraid of because there were some negative statements in that movie. He said at the end of that particular remembrance that Srila Prabhupada is always right. And then he mentioned again, don't forget that, Srila Prabhupada is always right. And this is extremely important. This is the mood of one accepting a spiritual master. He accepted Prabhupada in that mood, that Srila Prabhupada is always right. If you second guess your spiritual master, you're in trouble. Then you don't have a spiritual master. You have your own mind as your spiritual master. And we know what that leads to. Because the mind is like that, flickering. So when one accepts a spiritual master, one has to accept the spiritual master in that mood. The spiritual master is always right. If you give yourself the right to second guess your spiritual master to do something other than what the spiritual master says, then you don't really have a guru. And Prabhupada himself said that many times. You have to have that mood towards the guru. The famous example is the rope and the snake. If you see what you think is a rope, but the spiritual master says, go and kill that snake, you pick up a stick and you hit that rope. Or opposite, if you think you see a snake and the spiritual master says, go and bring me that rope, you don't argue with your spiritual master. You go and get that snake and bring it to him as if it was a rope. So that was the mood that Gopal Krishna Maharaj had towards Srila Prabhupada. Whatever Prabhupada said, he would do. The example he gave, and this is another one, is that Prabhupada could call you at any time. He gave that example this morning of Prabhupada calling him at 1 o'clock in the morning when he was sleeping. Prabhupada said, go and get Gopal. So somebody went and woke him up and brought him in, and Prabhupada told him to make that ad that you come and live with us like us. So at first he didn't get it. He was saying, Prabhupada, how can we invite everybody to live? We don't have the means. Prabhupada repeated, they have to come and live with us like us. In other words, they have to follow all the principles. And if somebody's willing to do that, Prabhupada said, I will maintain them. So this should always be our mood also. We're living in Prabhupada's house, but we have to live like Prabhupada, like Gopal Krishna Maharaj, in that mood of always wanting to do whatever service the spiritual master asks us to do. So Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he set such a high bar of what a disciple should be. And all of us, his God brothers and his disciples and any new people coming along, this is the bar that we have to try to raise our consciousness to. That the spiritual master is always right. Whatever the spiritual master asks me to do, I will do my best. We may not always succeed externally, but the test of the spiritual master is not always an external one, it's internal. That whatever the spiritual master asks us to do, we will do our best to try to accomplish that. Now, I would like to end by saying that yes, there are so many homages to Maharaj on the internet. I was glancing on YouTube, and there was Vrindavan, homages to Gopal Krishna Maharaj, part 1. Part 1 was 1 hour and 40 something. That's just Vrindavan, part 1. So everywhere you go, there will be so many homages to Gopal Krishna Maharaj. But there will also be negative naysayers. Don't listen to them. Somebody has already come to me and told me that so-and-so said this, and don't listen. Don't listen. And why is it that some people have negative things to say about him? Because he tried to always find a common ground for serving Prabhupada, which means he didn't fall in this camp or that camp. Kali Yuga is a very extremely divided age. Everybody falls into these camps, and they hate everybody else in any other camp. And that's on any level of life, political, social, academic, sports, anywhere you look. There's these very, very divided camps. And either you're with us or you're against us. So even in this camp, we come with that mentality. We form these camps. This camp or that camp. So Gopal Krishna Maharaj didn't want to fall in any particular camp. He tried to bring all the camps together. And because of that, a lot of devotees don't appreciate him, because they wanted him to be in this camp against the other camps. And he didn't buy that. So because of that, you will find, in spite of all the wonderful homages that you're hearing, there are some people who will say negative things about him. Don't listen. Try to fall into the Gopal Bhatta Goswami camp. Gopal Bhatta Goswami refused to hear any negative statements about any devotee. Not just about Rupa or Sanatan or highly advanced or pure devotees like those. Any devotee. He didn't want to hear anything negative said about any devotee. So we should cultivate that also. We don't want to hear negatives. There's enough negative in the world outside of ISKCON. We don't want to bring it inside ISKCON. Everybody's trying in their own way to please Srila Prabhupada, and we should appreciate that. So Gopal Krishna Maharaj appreciated. He was a very practical person. I remember in 94, maybe it was 95, I was living in the Potomac Temple at that time. Very poor. Hard to put together enough money to make a nice Sunday feast. And we all had to work very hard. I remember that year, if you've been to Potomac, there's a driveway that goes down from street level, down to the temple level. And uncharacteristically, that winter it was very cold, and that driveway iced over. We didn't have enough money to hire some workers to come and do it. We all had to do it ourselves. Get shovels and picks and go break the ice so that the devotees and members could come to the Sunday feast for their benefit and also the benefit of the temple, because any little donation that they would give at a Sunday feast was necessary. Now in Potomac, they have a brand new, huge temple. Gopal Krishna Maharaj had a lot to do with that also. I remember, again, in a home program in 94, it was mostly Indians, well-to-do Indians in that area. And he brought them together and he said, I know you all. I remember when you came, 5 of you, husband, wife, 3 children, you came from India. You were living in a 2-bedroom apartment. Then you moved to a 3-bedroom apartment. Then you bought a 3-bedroom house. Now you're living in a mansion. don't you think that Krishna should also be upgraded? So, because of his strong preaching, all that Lakshmi was gradually raised in Potomac to build that new temple. So we should also have that mentality. We always like to upgrade our clothing, our cars, our house. Always try to upgrade Krishna. Why shouldn't Krishna have a bigger temple? You see, people don't understand that. They think we waste money when we build big temples like Mayapur Temple of Vedic Planetarium. Even within ISKCON, devotees are asking, why you spend so much money to build this temple? Prabhupada wanted it, because Prabhupada knew that temple will become a beacon to the world to spread Krishna consciousness. So it's the same thing with our temples here in America. Potomac now has a beautiful new temple. All of the temples in America should be beautiful and big and attract people from all over the world to come and hear Prabhupada's message, hear the message of Prabhupada's great devotees like Gopal Krishna Maharaj, Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Archita. Thank you, Archita Prabhu. Just to add to what Archita Prabhu said, Washington temple cost $15 million, Potomac. And I was told by Maharaj himself that Srila Prabhupada desired that Washington was the capital of the free world, that there should be a magnificent temple. And they were able to raise 9 million, and 6 million is a loan. And Maharaj was so influential that he made his disciples become personal guarantors to that loan. So that loan has personal guarantees also from Gopal Krishna Maharaj's disciples. So this was the influence of Gopal Krishna Maharaj. So the next offering is by His Holiness Giriraj Swami. Maharaj wanted to be here, but he is in Dallas and he'll be there for 6 weeks. He just left about a week ago. So I'm going to be reading the offering of His Holiness Giriraj Swami. My first vivid recollection of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami is from 1973. I had heard about him, how he had studied at the Sorbonne in Paris and then at McGill University in Montreal, and then held responsible positions with Pepsi Cola and Bristol Myers, and how he will come to the New York temple every day and was so humble that he will go around the temple room and offer obeisances to all the spiritual paintings on the walls. So I had heard about him before I actually met him. For some weeks in 1973, Srila Prabhupada was staying at Seth Bogilal Patel's palatial home in Walkeshwar, South Bombay, and Gopal Krishna visiting India came to meet with him. I was struck by the way the two of them related with each other. Srila Prabhupada dealt with Gopal Krishna differently than how he dealt with the rest of us disciples. And I immediately understood that there was something special about him. 2 years later, Tamal Krishna Goswami, who had been the GBC for India, who returned to America and began the Radha Damodar party. And Srila Prabhupada asked Gopal Krishna to replace him. Srila Prabhupada had told me that Gopal Krishna had worked for a major international company with his own private office and a car. I was meeting important people in Bombay, and Srila Prabhupada wanted to impress upon me Gopal Krishna's competence and status. Soon after Gopal Krishna arrived in Jew, he wanted to visit his mother, who lived nearby in Santa Cruz, and invited me to accompany him. I was struck by his polite and gentle manner and by how considerate and respectful he was with her. I was impressed when most of us youths in Europe and America became devotees. It was hard for us to visit our parents. Most of them did not understand Krishna consciousness and were quite hostile to our becoming devotees. So it was unusual, unique for me to see such warmth and mutual respect between a non-devotee, albeit Hindu, parent and a devotee child. Jew was one of Srila Prabhupada's main projects, and he faced many challenges there. First getting the land and then permission to build the temple, and then actually building the temple. And Gopal Krishna and I, under Srila Prabhupada's guidance, worked together to deal with them. We complemented each other and thus formed an effective team. We had our own individual approaches and strengths and weaknesses, but we were brought together and bound together by Srila Prabhupada's love and mercy and by our common love for and surrender to His divine grace. We dealt with many challenges and intrigues together. I cannot count the times we went together to legal firms, accountants' offices, government departments, and social and political leaders, headquarters to get information and support for our efforts on Srila Prabhupada and Shri Shri Radha Ras Bihari's behalf. And eventually, by their grace, things turned around in our favor, and we finally got the permission to build the temple and build it. Srila Prabhupada said that ISKCON was his body, the BBT his heart, and the monies collected his blood. Let me read this back. Srila Prabhupada said that ISKCON was his body, the BBT was his heart, and the monies collected his blood. And he entrusted the most important business of publishing and distributing his books in India to Gopal Krishna. He was always asking him, where is book? Where is book? And when Gopal Krishna presented him with a new book, he felt great satisfaction in his heart. In 1977, at a most oppressive and repressive time in Soviet history, Gopal Krishna brought Srila Prabhupada's book Behind the Iron Curtain very intelligently and resourcefully introduced them through a book fair in Moscow. And just one day before he left this world, Srila Prabhupada asked for the certificate to be read to his god brothers. Books in the service of peace and progress, a diploma for the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust Bombay, given by the first Moscow International Book Fair, USSR. How proud and pleased he must have felt. Gopal Krishna always had a tremendous capacity for managing and doing business. Yet at a certain point, a deep desire to preach formed within his heart. In Jew, he kept talking about how he wanted to go out and give lectures, but he was so fully engaged with managerial duties, he hardly had time. Still, it was such a profound desire that eventually it was realized, especially after Srila Prabhupada left. Gopal Krishna became one of the most enthusiastic and dynamic speakers of Krishna Katha in the movement. After he received sannyas and began to initiate, Gopal Krishna was given the honorific Bhagavad Pad, which means Bhagavata for 2 meanings, the book Bhagavat, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the person Bhagavat. In particular for us, Srila Prabhupada and Pada means foot, or at the feet of. Gopal Krishna was always at the feet of Srila Prabhupada and was always engaged in the service of Srimad Bhagavatam by publishing it and disputing it and preaching it and living it. Much has been said about Maharaj's many wonderful qualities and activities. His impeccable sadhana, his love and service to his deities, his care for devotees, especially his god brothers, his expanding book distribution, his leadership in developing major projects in India and throughout the world, his cultivation of and engagement with important and influential people, his tireless traveling and extending himself for the sake of others, his resilience and perseverance in the face of physical illness and challenges, and his staunch and loyal dedication and enthusiastic love in service to his divine guest Srila Prabhupada. Although Maharaj and I were both attached to Srila Prabhupada and his mission, sometimes we had differences. Please pay attention, Maharaj says something very nice here. In our understandings or approaches, I tended to be more idealistic and rigid, and he more practical and flexible. So we had differences on the means, what will be most effective or beneficial, but never on the ultimate goal, to please Srila Prabhupada and spread Krishna consciousness. He once commented, Giriraj and I are like a Vedic couple. We may have differences, but there is no question of divorce. This statement is a testament to his dedication to Srila Prabhupada and kindness upon me, that he tolerated me with all my faults for the sake of keeping me engaged in Srila Prabhupada's service in Bombay. When I was completing my book about Srila Prabhupada and Jew, I'll Build You a Temple, the Jew story, Maharaj and I became even closer. He was kind enough to write a foreword for the book and to offer to encourage the temples in India to distribute it. And nowadays I often say, Gopal Krishna Maharaj commented, Giriraj and I are like a Vedic couple. We may have differences, but there is no question of divorce. But now we are in love. I appeal to everyone, including myself, to imbibe Gopal Krishna Goswami's spirit, to be prepared to make any sacrifice, go to any extreme, and expend any amount of energy for the sake of serving Srila Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I am honored and humbled to have this opportunity to express some of my appreciation and affection for my dear God brother. From the beginning, I saw his exceptional good qualities, and by his service to our spiritual master, those qualities have multiplied and matured. He is a beacon of light in this dark world of Kali Yuga. Maharaj then quotes from Srimad Bhagavatam, this Bhagavad Puran is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Bhagavad Purana. As stated by Srila Sanatana Goswami in Sri Brihad Bhagavatam, service in separation is the highest essence of love in ecstasy. I pray to eternally serve His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami in service to Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Parampara. His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj ki. So our next speaker is Naikatma Prabhu. And Naikatma Prabhu worked with His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj both in Seattle and in Detroit. So we would like to welcome Naikatma Prabhu.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhuveva patitana pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. I didn't have a whole lot of association with Maharaj. But the time we had together, I think, was very impressive and significant in my appreciation for him and the Vaishnav culture. I first met him in the early 70s in Mayapur, and the first thing that struck me was, who is this grihastha who's mingling with all these sannyasis in front of Srila Prabhupada? It just made me very curious. Who is this personality? And I found out later on when we were in Detroit, we were serving there as the temple president, and I had the opportunity to go up to Toronto and saw Maharaj there. And he was the same stoic, very serious, but very compassionate person. I could appreciate his dealings with devotees. And then when we went to Seattle and we were serving there as a temple president, I had a closer connection with him. And I remember when he would come to Seattle, he would always ask, how are his god brothers and god sisters doing? And some of them were not associated with the temple so much. They were living outside. But I could appreciate how he was still concerned for those devotees, associates, God brothers, God sisters who were not so active, but he had a genuine concern for them. And when we would sit in the morning after class, and he was always conscious that I would come in there and have breakfast with him. And we would sit and talk about the temple and how is this person doing, how is that person doing. It was very, not prajalpa, but very meaningful and personal conversations. How is Kantimati and her kids and Damagosh and there was Patraka and a couple other God brothers. And it really helped me to appreciate how in spite of all of his responsibilities, because he had all of Canada at the time, that he would come down and spend some time in this little offbeat place that nobody really wanted to go to except in the summertime, because the winter is always overcast and cold. But he would come and we would sit, and then immediately, like we heard earlier, what are we doing? What are we doing? So we would go to different home programs, and Maharaj would preach very vigorously and very straightforward with people, and how it was important that as Indian bodies they should be supporting this Krishna conscious movement, and how they should help to expand it and teach it to their own children, preserve it. That really impressed me, because we were struggling with trying to convince the congregation to get a little bit more involved. But Maharaj was very keen on that, and although we would have late programs, whether it was in Vancouver or in Toronto or in Seattle, and then even in Mayapur, I noticed that always he would be there offering Mangal Artik. Even if there were two or three of us there in the temple chanting in the morning, he was there for Mangal Artik, and he'd be offering to the deities. And it just helped me to appreciate how what a good example as a Vaishnava he was. And as Prabhupada, or as Swavas was pointing out earlier, this is something that will be greatly missed. And sometimes the disciple may think that how can I go on? But we were mentioning the other day this very nice comment that Srila Prabhupada made in response to a disciple who was asking, will we see you in the spiritual world, Srila Prabhupada? And Prabhupada said, he first smiled in a very nice, sweet way, and then said that Krishna has made a perfect arrangement. That for the devotee, the passing is like lightning and then illumination. And when the disciple gets to the spiritual place that he's destined, that when he opens his eyes, the spiritual master is the first person that he sees. So you can take comfort that as a disciple, that connection is eternally there. As soon as the disciple opens his eyes, the first thing he sees and meets is the spiritual master's eyes. And that spiritual master will take the hand of that disciple and take him and put it into the hand of Krishna. So it's an eternal connection, and we can take strength by it, from it. And when we have great Vaishnavas and wonderful servants of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna in our midst, we can take comfort that that association and that connection will be everlasting. Gopal Krishna Maharaj Ki Jai.
Thank you, Naikatma Prabhu. Next, we are going to show an offering of His Grace Nirantara Prabhu.
Jayanilo Premadhanna Koruna Prachur Hena Prabhu Kotagila Acharya Thakur. I am very sad indeed that my good friend, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami, has returned to Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj was always very nice, kind, and compassionate with me. It was because of him I was granted second initiation directly through Prabhupada. It was because of him I was given permission to marry my wife Varuni. In 1975 and 76, I saw how Prabhupada was training him to become BBT trustee and GBC. Prabhupada was strict with him, and he was always submissive and humble with his spiritual master. Maharaj always treated me with kindness. Never was he harsh or rude. ISKCON has lost a most valuable soldier in Prabhupada's army. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanang pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. All glories to His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj.
Next, before I invite the next speaker, I wanted also to thank the Mayapur Vrindavan Trust for sponsoring the feast today. Thank you, Govinda Datta Prabhu. So today's feast is being sponsored by MVT, and amongst one of the duties of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj was that he was MVT trustee from 1973 until leaving his body. So thank you so much. Our next speaker is Druta Karma Prabhu. Druta Karma Prabhu, please.
Vansha kalpadrubhyascha kripa sindhu behevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami. Vansha kalpadrubhyascha kripa sindhu behevacha
Hare Krishna.
patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. All glories to Srila
So
Prabhupada.
I didn't have
All glories
very
to His
much
Holiness
personal
Gopal Krishna Goswami.
association with Gopal
Vansha
Krishna
kalpadrubhyascha
Maharaj.
kripa sindhu behevacha
Of course, as a
patitanam pavanebhyo
member
vaishnavebhyo
of
namo namaha.
Srila
All
Prabhupada's
glories to Srila
Sankirtan
Prabhupada.
army,
All glories to His Holiness
I was the
Gopal
lower
Krishna
ranking
Goswami.
member. He
I
was
remember
a
Gopal Krishna Das
higher-ranking
Adhikari
member.
from my days in the Henry Street Temple
Srila
from
Prabhupada in
1973
his
to early
manifest
1975.
pastimes
He always
took
seemed
on
blissful and
many
enthusiastic in devotional service.
responsibilities.
But since he
And
was
he
a
took
grahastha
on
working
the
outside, and
responsibility
I was
of
a full-time
management.
brahmachari doing a lot of street
He often
harinam,
said
and
he
also
would like
working
to
at
give it
ISKCON
up,
Press,
devote
paths didn't
himself
really
fully
cross
to
much.
writing his books.
But in the mid-'80s, I
But
started editing the yearly Srila
He took
Prabhupada
up the
Vyasa Puja book.
responsibility
And it was then that I
of
started to really appreciate
GBC,
Gopal Krishna Maharaj's devotional qualities and his
training them.
100% dedication to Srila Prabhupada's
And he
mission.
wanted relief, but
So this
he
is when
didn't
I
get
really,
it. He also
quote,
took
met him.
on the
Therefore, as my eulogy to
responsibility
him,
of
I'd
the
like to read his
Bhaktivedanta
homage
Book
to Srila
Trust,
Prabhupada from the
because his Guru
1987
Maharaj
Vyasa
told
Puja
him
book.
that if you
Gopal
ever
Krishna
get any
Maharaj
money, print books.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my most humble obeisances at the dust of your lotus feet.
And he also took on the
On this most
responsibility of
auspicious Vyasa Puja
initiating
day,
disciples.
we honor you because you have always been
So
the
those
true
were the responsibilities that Srila Prabhupada took on.
Patitanam pavanebhyo
The responsible
Vaishnavebhyo
members
namo
of his society
namaha. All glory to Srila
who were
Prabhupada.
capable
All glory to His Holiness
of
Gopal Krishna Goswami.
taking on those same
I remember Gopal Krishna Das
responsibilities
Adhikari from my
were trained by him directly how to do that. And one of them was Gopal Krishna Maharaj. So I knew him on that basis, that he was a very responsible disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and under his guidance and direction took up many of the same responsibilities. Of course, the responsibility of accepting disciples is very big. It's an austerity. You know, I've been reading in the Chaitanya Charitamrita how Lord Chaitanya visited South India, and he went to a place called Kurma Kshetra, and he met one Brahmin there who was a householder and wanted to follow him and associate with him. But Lord Chaitanya sent him home and gave him the instruction, Yare Kare Tai Kare Krishna Upadesh Amar Agya Guru Hana Tare E Desh. That means stay at your home and preach Krishna consciousness, and in that way become a guru and deliver your country. So in his purport, Srila Prabhupada said, one shouldn't think, I'm so advanced, I won't accept any disciples. Because the Uttama Adhikari, they see everyone else as more advanced than them, everyone else as their spiritual master. They don't take disciples. So undoubtedly Gopal Krishna Maharaj was very advanced. And he had no need to accept disciples, but following the example of Srila Prabhupada, he accepted many. I know in my preaching I've gone all over the world to many places, and I've seen practically everywhere in the world there are disciples of Gopal Krishna Maharaj. For example, in Russia, I know there are many. In Canada, many. Here, many. Practically everywhere. There are many disciples of Gopal Krishna Maharaj. And I was listening very carefully when Vrajpati was reading the will of Gopal Krishna Maharaj. I'm in the process of writing one now on the instruction of the GBC Legal Committee. So I was listening very carefully to what he said. It's a very good example. Practically everything he said was a good example. Although I didn't have much personal exchange with him, I did see him in various situations. If you stay in this movement long enough, you get appointed to different committees. So I've been appointed to different committees that attend GBC meetings, and I've seen him in action, as chair and GBC member, giving his wisdom, advice, and experience to help guide this movement to the future. And although I'm not a very highly placed member of the BBT, I've been to BBT meetings where he's been there and contributed his wisdom, experience, and advice and example. So in all of these different ways, I've appreciated him very much for his example of being a wonderful servant of Srila Prabhupada. He did know who I was, and we would meet occasionally. The last time I saw him was 2 years ago during the Mayapur festival in India. I was coming down from, what is the building where they have the GBC meetings? Is that the Conch building? I was coming down, and in the lobby of the Conch building, he was walking out and I was walking out. He was alone. He was just walking out into the crowded walkways of Sridham Mayapur during festival time. But he was very kind to me. Oh, Jitakarma Prabhu, how are you doing? I've also met him in Delhi when I was doing some science preaching there at one of the many temples that he opened. I think it was in Noida. So as many have pointed out, he was very gentlemanly, very kind, and always a pleasure to meet, very humorous as well, in my recollection. So Gopal Krishna Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you, Jitakarma Prabhu. I just received this message from His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, so I thought I'd read that. So, quote, "On this very special day, my heart is with all of you in New Dwarka to worship in acute separation His Holiness Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. We are forever blessed by Srila Prabhupada to have been given His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj's mercy and the pure example of his pure love for Krishna and complete surrender to Srila Prabhupada and his mission. Your servant, Radhanath Swami." Haribo.
Are we ready with the video? So the next offering is by Dravida Prabhu. As we know, Dravida Prabhu is very active with the BBT, and
then
after this it's going to be the first Mataji. We want to make sure that the Matajis are also speaking. So
all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami. I remember Gopal Krishna Das Adhikari from my days in the Henry Street Temple in 1973 to early 1975. He always seemed blissful and enthusiastic in devotional service, but since he was a grahastha working outside, and I was a full-time brahmachari doing a lot of street harinam and also working at ISKCON Press, our paths didn't really cross much. But in the mid-80s, I started editing the yearly Srila Prabhupada Vyasa Puja book, and it was then that I started to really appreciate Gopal Krishna Maharaj's devotional qualities and his 100% dedication to Srila Prabhupada's mission. So this is when I really, quote, met him. Therefore, as my eulogy to him, I'd like to read his homage to Srila Prabhupada from the 1987 Vyasa Puja book. Gopal Krishna Maharaj writes, Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my most humble obeisances at the dust of your lotus feet. On this most auspicious Vyasa Puja day, we honor you because you have always been the true representative of Vyasadeva. From the Vyasasana you have always spoken the absolute truth. From your transcendental appearance to your disappearance in 1977, you demonstrated nectarian pastimes that will be appreciated by all the Vaishnavas for the next 10,000 years. You are incomparable in your service to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You opened so many temples, farms, and restaurants, wrote books, and gave darshans. Due to your tireless efforts, the course of history has been altered, from the path of illusion and bewilderment to a path of Krishna consciousness, peace, and prosperity. Due to your purity and unlimited mercy, the Krishna consciousness movement is continuing to expand. The present devotees are training other new devotees, and thus we see that your mercy is ever expanding. Srila Prabhupada, you were always bold and determined. Just as Grandfather Bhishma was peaceful and perfect in his meditation on Lord Krishna, even though he was being pierced by arrows, you are always fixed in your determination to preach Krishna consciousness in spite of heavy odds. To call oneself a member of ISKCON means that one knows your instructions and works tirelessly to execute them without deviation. Your instructions are crystal clear. Let us all keep you in the center by worshipping the instructions that you have kindly given to us. Though the list is unlimited, some of the major ones are to chant our 16 rounds, to read your books, to distribute your books, to perform gorgeous deity worship, to distribute Krishna Prasadam, and to work cooperatively under the direction of the governing body commission. These instructions have to be the object of our constant meditation. We have to chant our rounds very attentively and try to finish them in the morning. We must develop the habit of reading your books regularly. One of the main reasons why so many of your beloved sons have left their service is because of the weakness in these important spiritual activities. Our book distribution has to increase all over the world. You wanted to double the book distribution every year. Your instruction that we all work together under the overall supervision of the GBC body should be taken seriously. We have to work together even if there are differences. This is to pass the test of the spiritual master. Even in the spiritual world, there are sometimes different parties among the gopis. But the goal of loving service to Krishna is never forgotten. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, there is no doubt in my mind that we can please you by remaining inside the ISKCON body and accepting the authority of the GBC body. We have to remember your famous statement, quote, your love for me will be shown by how much you cooperate to keep this institution together after I am gone, close quote. We must see, as you said, quote, the big ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada, on this auspicious day, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve in your great mission of fulfilling Lord Chaitanya's prediction that this Krishna consciousness will spread to every town and village of the world. Please let me go on serving you life after life. I have no other shelter but your lotus feet. Your insignificant servant, Gopal Krishna Goswami.
Thank you so much. We are soon heading into Aarti, so I have requested Naikatma Prabhu to lead, and then we will continue after this because there is a lot of more nectar. But I wanted to see if Mataji, is your offering going to be about like less than 5 minutes. Devadihiti Mataji. So Devadihiti Mataji, you can speak and then we'll go straight into Aarti. As we know, Maharaj was also very favorable, for the Mataji's services in ISKCON. So I want to make sure that all the Matajis also are able to speak. Thank you.
I just wanted to mention that Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he was very personable, and I spent a lot of time in Vrindavan, and at that time he would come often, and of course he would do the Mangal Arti for Krishna Balaram personally. That was his service. He loved doing that. And during the Kartik time, when we'd take Prabhupada out on the procession before Prabhupada's disappearance, it would be a big prikrama to all the Goswami temples. And we would be on rickshaws, except Maharaj. He'd walk the whole way. So it's very impressive. I mean, like 10 years older than us, and he's walking, and he's very enthusiastic, and it was wonderful. And also, he was very available to everyone, to his disciples, to us. He'd be walking, and then he'd stop. He'd see somebody, ask, "How are you?" That's who he was. He's very personable and loving to his god brothers and to his god sisters. And when Brahmananda was so ill, he was very concerned, and he paid for all Brahmananda's medical bills, and he also set up the samadhi, and he was there personally, and very affected by passing of his older god brother. So he was a great example for this whole movement and for everybody involved. And just to his disciples, I just wanted to say, I know how much you're hurting, but that's the story. We also went through it, and we're still going through it as Prabhupada disciples. So, and I feel very fortunate to be able to talk about Maharaj and had that association. And also in the early days, I knew him and his family in Henry Street. So I had that connection. So thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. So we can get ready for Aarti.